Lesson 3.1 on constructing segments and angles. Now, what are constructions? This whole chapter is going to deal with the subject of construction, so it's necessary to discuss what they are. Constructions are drawings of geometric objects. But unlike other drawings that we've done, there's certain rules that we need to follow. Before we get to those rules, though, first let's discuss the tools that we use for drawing. Now, first, we use a straight edge. And a straight edge could be anything that has a straight edge, whether it's a ruler or the edge of your protractor or even the edge of a book. But the only reason why we use straight edges is to guarantee straight lines, because we need to be able to draw straight lines when drawing constructions. Second, we need to use a compass. And the compass is used for drawing circles, as we used before, but it's also used for measuring lengths. But I use the term measure loosely because it isn't the traditional measurements that we're used to using before. Because in constructions, there's actually no units for measurement. No inches, no centimeters. We don't use a ruler, at least for the sake of measuring, because inches and centimeters don't exist. And likewise, angle measurements don't exist. So we don't use a protractor. No angle that gets made in the construction actually has a measurement of degrees. Now, that may seem counterintuitive. So instead, let's start this construction unit by actually doing a couple constructions. And as you actually get to see how constructions work, you'll probably have a better understanding of exactly the rhythm and the pattern that follows. So construction number one of the most fundamental and basic constructions is copying a segment. Let's say you are given a line segment, AB, as shown there, and you're asked to copy it following the rules of constructions. Well, these are the rules, the steps that you need to follow. First, use a straight edge to draw a generic line. And that line has no set length. So make it nice and long, definitely longer than what visually appears to be the length of AB itself. The second step is plot a point, let's call it point C. It doesn't matter where you put the point, just as long as there's enough space in order to make the segment. And then step 3, take your compass and measure the length from A to B with your compass. Once you have length AB, keeping the same length with your compass, pivot your compass then on point C and mark an arc across your segment. This arc then designates the exact length of segment AB itself. Now that you actually have a point of intersection between the arc and your original line, at that point of intersection, mark another point, let's call it point D, where your arc meets the segment. And there you've successfully copied the segment using construction number 1. Now the second basic construction is copying an angle. Say, for example, you're given angle CAB as shown there, and you're asked to construct angle CAB as shown below. This construction, like the previous construction, begins with drawing a straight line using your straight edge. The second step is plotting a point on this line to use for your vertex of your angle, and make sure it's recessed far back enough so that you have room to work. Now here's where the steps differ from the first construction. Step number 3, placing your compass on point A on the original angle, draw an arc across the angle, and it needs to cross the entire span of the angle from edge to edge. Then pivot your compass on point D, and keeping this exact distance, copy this arc onto D, using D as your pivot point. Then take your compass, pivot it on the point of intersection, either point will do, but on the point of intersection where the arc meets one of the sides of the angle. And Open your compass up so that it meets the distance from one point of intersection to the other point of intersection on the other side of the angle. Keeping this distance, make an arc sweep at that point of intersection. Drawing that small arc, then, we can use that to make sure that we have the correct distance across the arc to then carry over to our new angle. So, with this exact same distance, place your compass point where your line and the first arc intersect. Draw that small arc once again. Now, at this point where these two arcs cross, we now have our second point, which we can draw a line through from the vertex D. So the final step is to use your straight edge to draw a ray from D through the intersection of those two arcs. And there you've successfully completed construction number 2. Thus concludes today's lesson.